Alright, going to do some deep frying today, and I've made this over the last couple of days. I did actually video this yesterday, but the video wasn't very good, so I'm not going to, I thought I'll do a different one. I thought I'll record it again. Basically I'm going to make up a batter, and I'm going to use just a simple batter. So I haven't turned the oil on yet, but there's a reason for that. So just a bit, I've got plain flour, a wee bit of plain flour and baking powder, and what that's going to create is self-raising flour. So basically self-raising flour, give it a wee bit of lift. Plain flour and baking powder is self-raising flour. So that. And some rice flour, so it's half self-raising and half rice flour. And I think this rice flour helps give it a good crunch, gives the batter a good crunch. And a wee pinch of salt in it, but not much. So I kind of like salt at the end. And you want some cold water. A wee bit of cold water. And create a fairly thick batter. See that sort of consistency, that it's fairly thick. And pop that into the fridge, and we'll leave that for a bit. So the oil, I'm going to use some rapeseed oil, but we'll turn that on now. Rapeseed oil or vegetable oil, sunflower oil, one of these high temperature kind of oils. Got my old deep frying pot out, and obviously don't put too much into the pan, so kind of a third fillet. Yeah, I'll go with that as a third. So what I tend to do when I'm deep frying is I'll do a few things. So I'll reuse that oil a few times, and you can clean it and filter it and strain it and stuff, and then reuse it maybe three or four times. And then the last thing I'll do is some pakora, which is like a spiced gram flour spiced batter, and so then you get the curry flavours through it, and then after that the oil's quite smelly, so then you throw it away. So you know, you're not just using it once. Basically all I'm going to do is deep fry some pork. Have a dirty. Just simply have a pork chop, and I'm going to cut it up into small pieces. I'd sliced through the fat because I thought I was going to do something different with this chop, but I'll do the deep frying because it's so good. Fat as well. I'm going to go fairly kind of smallish, quite like kind of wee bite-sized pieces. That. Now I'm just going to have this with some stuff I've already got prepared. So all the main cooking today is just going to be the pork. So I actually did make a video on this yesterday, but it wasn't very good. The video didn't come out very good. I wasn't quite happy with it. So I will so I'll do another video on this, because this is actually really good. This mush in here is roasted vegetables in a barbecue sauce, and this is really, really good. I want to show this. This is a really nice way of using up loads of vegetables, and yeah, just emptying your fridge basically into the of all your vegetables, cooking them all up, and now when I want to have an accompaniment to something, I've got my roast vegetables, dead easy, just put them in the microwave for a few seconds, and that's it, nothing to it. But it's mushrooms, courgettes, onions, aubergine, peppers, garlic, and a barbecue sauce of ketchup, tomato puree, balsamic and smoked paprika, a bit of sugar, and you just kind of mix all that together and just shove it in the oven. There's nothing to it, and you create this really nice roasted vegetables, and you can see dead easy to reheat the next day. And I've also again, I did record this yesterday, but see, the video wasn't great, but just boiled up some broccoli, and there's a few wee mange two things in there as well. So we'll just have a load of microwave vegetables with this. So you can see, once you cook the vegetables like that, boil them up, don't overcook them. It's just so easy to have a load of vegetables with your dinner. Here as well. So all we're doing now is just waiting for the oil to heat up. I'll put my thermometer in it, we'll check the temperature off it. You can see that rising up. So on the thermometer it's got deep frying right near the top, so 190 degrees. So I'm going to take up to 180, 190 degrees. And that's the rapeseed oil. I want that batter to be fairly cold actually. I'll put that in the microwave ready to go. That's just resetting it, I wasn't starting it, I'm not starting it yet. I think I'll maybe come back in a few minutes. I'm going to turn this down a wee bit, and I'm just going to let that oil slowly heat up, and I'll come back to you in a couple of minutes, just because I want the batter to be as cold as possible. So I've just turned that down just so we're not in any hurry, and we'll just slowly heat that up to temperature. It's creeping up, but I'll come back to you in maybe 5 minutes or so, just because I want the batter to be nice and cold. I would have normally done the batter beforehand, but obviously then I wouldn't be able to show it on the video. So I'll be back in a second. Just a couple minutes. So we're almost up to temperature there. It's at 180, I've got it down to 3, so we shall crack on. What you want to do is just put a sprinkling of flour onto the pork. You can marinate that pork as well and maybe put some spices on it, but just plain is really, really good. A touch of salt on it. I remember about the raw meat on the board there on the table. So as working with raw meat, one hand's contaminated with the raw meat and the other one's clean, so I can kind of manoeuvre around and do stuff. I'm going to turn my extractor fan on, probably got the door open, close that door over. I'm going to turn this up to number 2 actually. I'm going to crank this up. So it's just almost deep frying, so I'm going to turn the temperature up a wee bit. Let's turn that up to 5, so I've cranked it up a bit at the end now. Just because as soon as you put that, as soon as you put this in, the temperature is going to drop right down. And you shouldn't really use your fingers to do this, you should use a wee fork or something. It was a bit stringy. I should maybe have cut them a wee bit bigger actually. There's quite a lot here, they're all going to stick together. Yeah, cut them a wee bit small, but that's okay. Probably should really do this in a couple of batches, but we'll just chuck them all in and see what happens. And I will just discard that remaining, I won't keep that batter for anything. It's only a wee bit of flour and water, so it's pretty cheap. They're a wee bit, they're all joined together, but try and break them up a wee bit so we don't have one individual. Try and break them up a bit, but actually we can probably not too bad. So deep fried pork fat, it just doesn't get much better than that. So we're just waiting on that. because they're small, they won't take too long to cook. And you can also be quite confident that they are cooked through because they're so small. So I've got that now at number 4. Let's check the temperature of the oil. See what kind of temperature it comes up to. So obviously as soon as you put that cold batter and cold meat into it, the temperature's just going to drop right down. And if your oil is too cold, if the oil is too cold, the batter will kind of not go crispy. It'll soak in the fat and it will be no good. So you really need to keep the temperature right up high, as high as possible, lifting everything out of the oil. So it's got deep frying line at 190 and we're at 100 and coming up to almost about 170, which I think is alright. Getting decent colour onto it, so I'm quite happy with that. So that's at number 4 of 6. Yeah, we'll just create this 170 degrees, that oil, so that's pretty good. Anything less than that and it would be no good. It would be both. You notice it as soon as you take the thing out of the oil, it should kind of evaporate fairly quickly. So we know we're at 170. Oh shit, that could have been bad. Should kind of dry fairly quickly, which is what you want. You can see that, I don't know if you can see it, but it's evaporating fairly quickly and that's what you want. You don't want the oil to kind of stay there and be too cold. So be confident with it and get the temperature up. So I've got this at 4 of 6. And I think that's about right. Remember when I worked in the Chinese restaurant, I was cooking deep frying fish. And I got told to kind of move the fish through the oil. That's why I'm moving it. You want to kind of push the battered object through the oil. And now all that kind of noise is stopped, and what that means is all the moisture's come out of the meat. The meat's cooked through, the moisture's come out of the batter as well, and that's why the noise has died right down, because that crackly poppy noise is all the water. So I think we're about there now. I think we'll call these done. So I'll put my vegetables on, 1.5 minutes in the microwave for them, and that'll give these a chance to kind of, so we'll turn that off now. I'll lift these out. What I like to do when I lift them out is kind of get the air through them. I like to do that and get the air flowing through them, help them evaporate, and they look quite dry, so that's pretty good. And you'd want to tend to the side of overcooking these rather than undercooking them, because they are pork. But pretty much no danger really of any undercooking of these. I'm going to move that to the back. It's quite hot, that, so just be careful when you're moving it, but just to get it off the heat. And I'm going to pop this lid on it, just because it's a wee bit smelly. And that's you there. And what you can see there is I don't know if you can see it, but they look very dry, very crunchy, and that's what you want. Not too much oil on the paper towel. Hit these with a wee bit of salt. It's feeling a wee bit cold actually. Broccoli is steaming, but the vegetables are pretty cold, so I'll pop that in for another. It's a bit annoying, that's going to overcook the broccoli bit anyway. I'll taste one of these. I'm just letting them cool down. I'll taste it and I'll let you hear the crunch. But yeah, with deep frying you have to be quite confident with it and get the temperature right up. If the temperature's too low, it'll be no good. It'll be soggy and rubbish. So you really need to be confident with it. Use a thermometer, and you can see as well, I've got nothing else. You know, I've only got this. There's nothing cluttering up the work surface, cluttering up the cooker. So I can just move this back very easily. If there's any problems, I can move it to the side very easily. So you keep it nice and clear. A bit better. So I'll let you hear the crunch of one of these. Smaller. Maybe you can hear that. You can hear them. So crunchy, really, really good. That creamy, fatty pork. It's been deep fried. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. So I will do a video on the roasted vegetables because these are really good. And you've seen me do broccoli before, just boiling broccoli and then microwaving it. So that's it, crispy pork bites with the vegetables done.